me start this off with saying that migraine attacks and live television interviews don't mix at all. If you're new here, my name is Casey. I chat all about living with migraine. I'm here sharing my experiences, tips, strategies, everything that has helped me in my journey with migraine so that you can find some support, tools, inspiration along the way. If that sounds good to you, make sure that you hit subscribe. Oh, that's better. Okay, I can't sit like a normal person. Anyway, first I'm going to give you a little bit of context about kind of where we are in my time frame in my life. So first of all, this was a really rough time migraine wise. I was having almost daily symptoms. I was like so incapacitated. Is that a real word? I don't know, but we're using it. I was just very debilitated. I was just on survival mode, pushing through my symptoms every single day to like go through daily life things. It was terrible. Now, I was also working a job that I really loved and enjoyed. I was doing my first job as a dietitian nutritionist after getting my registration and state licensure and all of that. And I was working in a supermarket as a retail RD, and it was so fun. Every day was different. I had so many different things I could do in a week. There's a lot of variety in what I was able to do, like cooking classes, grocery store tours, one-on-one client education, and the basis of this particular story, live television interviews, local, thank goodness. So I woke up on this particular day where I had a scheduled news interview segment and I felt pretty migraine-y, which was the norm at the time. I didn't really think anything of it. I was totally prepared to just like barrel through my symptoms and call it a day. That's what I was doing every day, so I didn't really think anything of it. And so like, please keep that in mind. I didn't even consider rescheduling or canceling or anything like that. That was not even a factor because in my brain, this was my norm. This was my baseline. I'm in pain every day. So even if I reschedule it to another day, who's to say that that day wouldn't be worse, you know? And luckily everything was prepared ahead of time. I had like my speaking script. I had all of my props and tools packed up. I basically just had to show up and like have the conversation. So I was feeling pretty confident about it and ready to go, and I had done it a few times at this point. And since this was my baseline, having symptoms almost every day, all the time, at this time, I was so used to having symptoms every single day that I didn't really consider the fact that this particular day was so much more symptomatic than a usual attack day, because there's a lot of variance in each migraine attack. And this was actually a really bad day, and I regret not rescheduling, but here we are. So again, everything was prepped. I show up and I do the interview, and it was such a blur because of the just natural adrenaline of being on camera and like the fogginess of having a migraine attack. Like I wasn't like very clear during it, but I didn't really think anything of it. Like I've pushed through a lot of different tasks like this in the past, so I pack up, I go home, whatever. But then we get to the point where I rewatched the interview clip and I'm mortified. It was humiliating. It was so bad. I was so visibly foggy and confused, and I stumbled over all of my words. I kept pausing. I didn't know answers. I was just really struggling through this interview, which I have no recollection of, and I was just so embarrassed. I did end up sharing it with my, friends and family and everything like that, just because that was what I was doing after every news interview and activity like this, and I was excited to share it, but I did caveat that I was feeling very foggy and migraine-y, and it was a little bit embarrassing. And I would share this clip with you. No, I wouldn't share it with you, but I did do some digging and I can't find it. It seems to be missing, and that's fine with me. That's totally fine. It does make me think about the idea of really knowing your boundaries and sticking to them. So this is more of a do as I say, not as I do, because I'm an annoying, stubborn person, and if that were to happen to me again today, I would still try to push through my symptoms again and do the same thing again, which is not wise. I wouldn't recommend you do that. But yes, seriously, please know that it is okay to have boundaries and that migraine is out of our control. Our health is so important. If you need to step back from something, even if it's pretty last minute, definitely put yourself first and your health first. It's so important, and I should have done that. And actually, whenever I communicated next with the news interviewer, I don't know what that role is, she actually expressed that. She's like, oh my gosh, I wish you had told me. We could have totally rescheduled. I'm so open to that. Like, I feel so bad about this. So really, I should have. But here is my new approach if I were to wake up and have that similar situation. And this is something that I kind of do in my newer tasks as well. So my attacks are much less frequent, so it is a little bit more reasonable for me to think about like should I reschedule this? I'll probably feel better the next time that this comes up. But I do try to consider when I'm about to go to that event or that engagement or education or whatever, I try to think about, is this going to be helpful for anyone? If I show up in my state as I am right now with all the migraine symptoms I'm experiencing, will I be helpful to the person I'm educating or talking to or whatever it is I'm doing? Would it really be better for everyone if I dipped out? And sometimes that's the answer. Like, we really need to consider, well, I really need to consider that. You might be way better at this than I am, but for real, I need to consider this. And when I do decide to push through and continue doing the task, whatever it was, I am so much more upfront about it. I am so down to say when I sit down with someone or approach someone like, hey, by the way, I don't feel good today. Like, this is what's going on. And they're always so understanding. Like, I feel like we really underestimate how much like understanding and compassion other people will have and like how open and receptive they will be to this kind of thing. But really, that's it. That's the story. I would love to hear any of your insights. If you've ever done something like this where you've had some sort of live, like, public speaking type of engagement that you faced with a migraine attack, how did you handle it? Like, tell me the story. I'm super interested to hear about it. Or let me know what you would have done if you were in the similar situation. So do make sure to check out the description. I will link some goodies for you down there. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you're someone with a migraine brain and you want more videos like this.